Okay, so today we have a new film, Midnight Taxi, thanks to Mitch at Millennial, right? It is written and directed by Bertie and Samantha Speirs. I mean, they're wearing a lot of hats, right? So Bertie also took care of the cinematography and he edits the piece. The score, right, that is from Jack Bradford Sharp. Elvis Shamolanoff was behind the makeup. Um, and Tom Hutley was kind of driving supervisor, took care of that. So our cast, Eddie is played by Ladi Emeruwa, right? His late friend's daughter Rachel is played by Scarlett Price. An old friend of Eddie's, Trevor, is played by Eddie Ear. We have got Detective Donovan, played by Nathan Turner. There's Adam Bloomfield, played by Amajit Du. We've got Carly, played by Mikey Davis. There is Amira, played by Esme Pellegrini. Liam, played by Jamie B. Chambers. Dr. Fairchild, played by Laura Fitzpatrick. James Dormer, played by Michael Gilhooly. Felicity, played by Isabella Mimi Storm. The American woman we see is played by Stephanie Dawali. And the other young woman is played by Scarlett Mellish Wilson. So that is that. Now, the gist of the film is this. All right, let's get to this. Driving a black cab night after night is quiet and simple. And a simple life for Eddie Carter. The cab he drives was left to him by his late friend, along with the unspoken request to look after his surviving daughter, Rachel. Both Rachel and Eddie are wrestling with unmentioned loneliness and uncertainty over handling their obligatory near familiar relationship. When Eddie's daytime sleep schedule is disturbed by construction work next door, he finds his nighttime shifts requiring more coffee and exhaustion setting in. After pulling over for a break one night, he awakens to a terrifying situation. Ahead of his cab is the body of a murdered woman. After this gruesome discovery and reporting it to the police, Eddie tries to move on by sight and his by the sight move on by the sight and his tiredness haunts him. The following night he awakens from a dream of the murdered scene to find that he has started sleepwalking again, a condition he suffered as a child. Panic creeps in as he realizes that there is a chance he may have been involved in the woman's murder. In an effort to clear his conscience, Eddie starts to quietly investigate the murder on his own. With the help of frequent customer investigative journalist Adam Bloomfield and high-end escort Carly as a window into the underground world of London's sex industry, Eddie soon finds himself immersed in the murky depths of a city he's been blindly driving through for years. Dum dum dum. Now, this is the debut feature from Bertie and Samantha, right? Uh, Now, we got a little bit of information about the production, right? It reads Midnight Taxi is a moody nighttime mystery told across London, from tourist landmarks to quiet South London streets to residential West London. The film goes everywhere that Eddie Carter does. A licensed black cab driver assisted the production as a second crew vehicle for all driving routes and scenes. The driving scenes in Midnight Taxi were filmed for real with lead actor Ladi Emeruwa driving an actual electric black cab throughout London to create an authentic feel. These scenes were shot multi-cam with up to 4 cameras and 8 microphones at once. With a daily crew of 4 or fewer, production took advantage of the quiet pandemic lockdown streets and used guerrilla filming techniques to shoot at various locations across central London, including the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral, Tower Bridge, Abbey Road, and several authentic green taxi shelters. So yeah, that's the film, people. That's the film, right? It's an interesting one, you know what I mean? Because I think we do get that sense of loss in both Eddie and Rachel. You know, I think that is pretty evident. And there seems to be something else, right? There's something else, a burden on Eddie's shoulders. And I think as the film goes on, we do learn a little bit about his history, right? So you kind of go, okay, right, that's what that is. You know what I mean? Now, the driving around, right? I think you do see I think it gives you a better feel of London, right? There's sometimes you watch those films and the routes they take, right? They're going past Greenwich University, London Eye, like all in a blink of an eye. And you're just thinking, wait, and then the O2 is usually there. And it's just like, wait, that's where the fuck are they going? Right? That route makes no sense. What's happening here? So this did feel right? It did actually feel more realistic on the driving front, right? So that was good. You know, I think also you get that I think the vibe of Eddie wanting to know more. You know, I think the score works for that because it's not really sad or anything, but it is kind of, I don't know, like you hear it and you do feel like it's music for a who done it type of thing. You know what I mean? So all of that I feel works. And yeah, I wanted to know where this was. I wanted to know where this was going. You know, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, where will they take this story? Right? There's things that get alluded to, you know, which I just was a bit like, I don't think that makes sense, right? I don't think you can go there. It's a little too obvious, but I wasn't sure how this was going to end, and that's a good thing, right? I wasn't quite sure, you know, because yeah, there was a few different things kind of floating around, so I thought that was great. You know, I thought that was great. I did think it concluded well, you know? Yeah, I did feel, right? Maybe it's just me. that we're driving around London. We don't necessarily get a diverse group of passengers in Eddie's cab, right? Which always does feel a bit weird, right? When you see those kind of things, because you're just like, I mean, it is diverse. You know, it is diverse. Now, I've had issues with black cabs. You know what I mean? Black cabs can be kind of crazy for not wanting to stop for black people. You know what I mean? But Eddie's driving, right? So yeah, the diversity in his passengers was a bit strange. I even think sometimes the script was a little bit, there's a bit when Eddie's talking to Trevor, and Trevor's just like, "You're driving a 2-ton weapon." And I don't necessarily think you're going to use that language. You know what I mean? I think, other words would be said. So there were those times when, you know, you can see what the writers, Bertie and Samantha are trying to do, right? They're trying to lay out everything that's going down and all of this, but the descriptive words and things like that aren't necessarily, you know what I mean? They don't work in the context of just this free flowing conversation. You would say something else. You would use different things, but they're trying to lay out this story. You know what I mean? They're trying to be like, okay, so bum, 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 this is what would happen, and he's trying to talk about this. So yes, let's say this, and I did, you know what I mean? Those kind of choices, you think, maybe not those words, right? That maybe that conversation could flow a little bit better, you know. And so there's that, but it's their first film, right? So these things happen. We grow from these things. You know what I mean? Um, And what was the other thing I was thinking? Hmm. Oh, I mean, right? Eddie's not a detective. Eddie's not a detective. Right. So there are things like I think it was just the way he finds some information. You just think, that's a little convenient, right? Kind of feel that information might be on the dark web, right? I don't think anyone's just stumbling on that through Google, but but it's interesting. As I said, right? I'm watching this film and I'm like, "Ooh, where's it going?" You know what I mean? How are we building on this? What's the relation? Like at first, I was like, "What's the deal with Rachel?" Right? Like, you know what I mean? You might think something about Rachel. I mean, you learn more as we go on, but yeah, there's certain kind of things, but yeah, I think it was good in building the routine, right? You can see Eddie's got this, the things he does, right? Wake up, what I mean, check the cab, clean the cab, get the coffee, put the coffee in, boom, boom, boom. There's just these things he does, and you just be like, yeah, when you've talked to cabbies, you might know a cabbie, right? Yeah, there's these routines, right? You make that regular stop at this place during the night, during the day, whatever, whatever. So we see that, right? It does build that in. It does, create the ambience of a driver. And reading the press notes, it looks like they did do that work, getting an actual you know, taxi driver to consult on the film makes a lot of sense. So that's good to know, right? Just those little details, just those little details. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not perfect, right? But it's interesting. And I think yeah, it will be I'm very curious to see where Bertie and Samantha go from here. Because making that first feature is, you know what I mean? Like, look, there's loads of people that talk about film and don't do it. So the fact that they've made this, you know, and it's compelling, right? That's the big one. It's compelling, right? So, yeah, I'm curious to see where this might lead them. Hmm. Now, I think if you liked things like oh, there was that film like Rideshare. Um, oh god, there was that other one. I believe it's on Netflix. It's that vampire one when the guy picks up, the vampires and he's driving around. Yeah, I think if you like a kind of a crime film, someone trying to unravel a mystery, what I mean? Peel back those layers, as it were. If that's your thing, then Midnight Taxi is definitely for you people. And you can check it out on VOD and digital from the 23rd of July. The 23rd? I believe. Hmm. Gosh. I think the 23rd is Tuesday. I believe it is. Sometimes you can be wrong about this stuff. Let me just double. I don't know why I doubt myself sometimes, people. Yes, the 23rd, right? So if it sounds like it's for you, go cop it, go check it out, right? Midnight